After a brief hiatus, I promised a solid T-shirt today from one Jason Fitz. He delivered. He's wearing the same outfit that I saw him wear this morning, so he has not changed all day. And he joins me right now here on a Sports Bash Wednesday. What's going on, Jay Fitz?
Yeah, I'd lie to you, but honestly, I've been on campus since 5 in the morning. I was driving home. I thought I could get home. There was a wreck on the highway. I pulled over so we could talk, and I got to go back to work. I'm going to be there till like 11 o'clock tonight. But we get to talk about football all day, so it makes me happy.
Yeah, are you Spain and Fitz tonight?
Tonight, it's solo Spain because I'm doing a college football taping that will air, I think, tomorrow for the digital side. So about to hit that busy time of the year for college football and NFL shows for me in the ESPN app and on social media. So it's a fun time. But Sarah will fly solo tonight and be better because of it, and I'll be back tomorrow.
All right, so I promised a solid T-shirt game before you jumped on. He's got the Saturday night's main event WWE style from like the 1980s rocking today. So that's a good one. Now, I forgot about the T-shirt game. I'm rocking a Altoona Curve AA T-shirt here that I got like 2 years ago when I was cruising through Altoona.
I mean, that's strong, though. Like, anytime you can have that cruising through Altoona as part of your show, you've just won. That's what I'm saying.
Now, you talked about college football. That's what I'm interested in to start today's conversation, man. All this college football, the alliance, it sounds like a WWE faction that's coming together here. You got these two guys joining this faction over there. These three are going to come together. Are we going to get a steel cage match?
Yeah, well, the one thing we're going to get is a classic heel turn, right? Like, to me, this is Macho Man and Hulk Hogan. It's the Mega Powers, and it's only going to work until Miss Elizabeth breaks them all up, right? Like, that's the inevitability of this. Everybody can say that they're going to come together, kumbaya, and have this cute alliance. But the minute somebody can make more money doing something else, they're going to do something else. There's nothing in writing. So the fact that they're asking us to buy that they've looked in each other's eyes and they've felt it to their soul. Like, I really do feel like Vince McMahon wrote what we're hearing at this point, and I'm supposed to buy it, and I'm not. Like, it won't even make it to SummerSlam next year. So I'm out by WrestleMania. Alliance is done. There we go.
All right, so when is CM Punk coming in to save the day? How is this thing all fixed?
Yeah, well, the CM Punk portion of this, that's maybe over here with the group of five saying, hey, don't forget to pay attention to what we're doing over here. Because, I'm not sure what fixes this quickly, but I know this. The Pac-12 is desperate for it, right? The Pac-12 has got to figure out a way to stay relevant. The Big 12 is dying in front of our eyes. So I think the landscape of college football is taking a drastic and unpleasant turn for a lot of teams. And realistically, what we've learned is what we've all known. Like, there are 15 or 20 programs that actually matter, and the rest are just riding their coattails.
Yeah, I mean, what happens to the remaining Big 12? Because they're not part of this alliance. So do they just dissolve into, the group of five schools? What happens to them?
I think they try and cherry pick the best of the group of five and then sell us that makes them a power five, and it doesn't, because Cincinnati, Memphis, Houston doth not equal Oklahoma, Texas, right? So, unless this was their lost opportunity. If they could have merged with the Pac-12, they stay interesting enough with enough prominent brands. But I think what happened here is the rest of the Pac-12 looked around and said, wait a minute, we need to do something to protect ourselves, because if they lose Oregon, USC, UCLA, like, they're done, right? So you have to look at those brands and say Pac-12 needs to protect those. So every conference left over there seems like it's 3 or 4 schools deep. They lose 2 of those 3, they're done. So everybody's trying to band together. Big 12 is going to end up being as relevant as the group of 5 in 5 years.
So when's this happen? When are we going to see, like, if you're a college football fan and you are used to your Saturday rivalries, when will you start to see that change? And you're like, wait, why are these two teams playing?
2 years. It'll be 2 years before we start to see all of that come around. Now, I do think that the alliance asking us to buy that they're going to schedule together is really cute. But at the end of the day, Oregon needs to get a great matchup against Georgia or Auburn or one of these SEC schools to start the season. It's good. It's good business for them. Clemson, Georgia is our big week 1 matchup everybody can't wait for. That's good business. And while I'll buy that Ohio State Clemson's also a great matchup, you can't do all of these matchups without the SEC at some point. They know that. They know the money at stake. So I still think that we're going to get these scheduling moments that people seem to think we're going to just let go of. I'm not buying it.
That's wild. This whole college football thing. It's sad, though. We saw this happen, about 10 years ago, even a little bit before that when Miami, Virginia Tech, they broke away from the Big East, which essentially started the dissolve of the Big East. And then you saw some ACC teams go to the Big Ten, some teams go from the Big 12 to the Big Ten. It has really made me kind of sad about the whole college football landscape. So is this Jay Fitz going to make it better?
No, I don't think it is, honestly. Like, I'll go back to what you just mentioned. Like, I went to high school in Maryland, and I remember going to those Maryland-Duke games when Maryland was number 1 and Duke was number 2, and Joe Smith was everything at College Park, right? And there was such a great rivalry for Maryland basketball, and you just don't recreate those things. You're coming into conferences where rivalries already exist, and you're the outsider. I mean, do you really feel like Texas A&M has found rivalries that match what they had before? I don't think so. So what we're going to get is maybe more power in the conferences, but we're not going to get matchups that have the same pull to your heartstrings. And realistically, we're not going to get the week in and week out sort of opportunities to at least make things like Nebraska feel relevant even when they're not. Like, Michigan State stinks, but Michigan State is still a matchup that has power. If they split up for some reason, it no longer means anything to anybody. And I think that's the inevitability in the next 5 years.
Yeah, we got some good Macho Man, Hulk Hogan, CM Punk references in this conversation. Let's see what we can do with this. All right, let's go to the NFL. Urban Meyer, we all saw what happened the other night. His press conference, him on the sideline. How is that Jacksonville Jaguar thing going to work out? Is it going to be the Chip Kelly in Philadelphia and in San Francisco, or is he going to have success at this level?
No, I love your Chip Kelly analogy, and I'm going to steal it and start using it. I think, Urban Meyer, and I saw somebody tweet out that played the game, just look at his body language. And what we look for from quarterbacks are, I made a mistake, I'm good. Like, we forget how many mistakes Peyton Manning made his rookie year. Trevor Lawrence going to make mistakes, and he's on a bad football team. But it's up to Urban Meyer to sort of find a way to control the sideline, find a learning opportunity, all the cliches we hear about. It seems like he's so worked up. Like, this is a 4-win team this year, and that's with a quarterback I truly believe in. So, I'm looking at Urban Meyer and thinking all the writing is on the wall. Inevitably, he's in over his head. It's rare for a coach to prove us wrong when it comes to this, especially coming out of college. I think Urban Meyer has proven time and time again already that he doesn't really understand a pro locker room. The Jags will fail Trevor Lawrence before Trevor Lawrence fails the Jags. In 3 years, he's going to be asking for his way out, and they're going to have a different coach.
All right, let's go to some of the storylines because we're getting close. How about New England with this whole quarterback situation? Is Bill Belichick ready to crack here and make a change and go with a rookie?
No, I still think it's Cam's job. And, New England's put too much money in. That's a part of it we keep forgetting. Like, you don't spend that much money and then turn it over to a rookie. Cam can still win football games. This was a team that was almost 500 with nobody on their roster last year. I think Belichick's going to look at it and say, right now, today, best chance to win, Cam. If it's Mac down the road, then they'll switch over to Mac. But I'd be much more surprised to see Mac starting in the first 5 weeks of the season, especially knowing that week 4 they have a matchup at home against Brady. You don't want to do that to anybody, especially your young quarterback. So I think Cam's in at least for the first 4 or 5 weeks, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him starting the first 8 or 10 weeks, maybe even the whole season.
All right, Bridgewater's the starter with Denver. Does it matter?
I think it shows you that at this point, Drew Lock has managed to fool the Broncos for a really long time, and that's a shame. And it's a reminder that John Elway has no idea what he's doing when it comes to getting a quarterback. Like, none. I mean, the Broncos have had ample opportunity to either get a different quarterback or draft a different, trade up in the draft to get a different quarterback. And they've just sat tight repeatedly with Drew Lock. So it's okay if they're wrong, but if you admit that you're wrong, then admit the number of mistakes you made in analysis and evaluation at the position. It's a failing at John Elway's feet. How many chances does that? We always talk about Gruden and how many chances he deserves. How many chances do you get to get the quarterback position wrong, even if your name's John Elway?
All right, so there's the whole Bears thing where they have been refusing to budge on the Andy Dalton thing. But should they be praised for this? In other words, you're on the hot seat, and yet you're still playing the veteran over the rookie.
Yeah, I have no problem with that, especially with that offensive line knowing it's going to get him killed. We watched Burrow last year have to run away from Michael Myers every single Sunday. Like, they were trying to murder him behind a terrible offensive line, and I think Cincinnati's offensive line is almost that atrocious, or Chicago's offensive line is almost that atrocious. So if you can save Justin Fields from that, you can save him from that. But the other side of it is, if they believe they're developing him, it's worth it. If they're just sitting him to save him, then you got to ask yourself a lot of questions about roster construction. I think they're sitting him because he's not quite ready, and they believe Andy Dalton can still win games, which he can do in this league. If he can get out to 4-2 in this process, and I don't think that's impossible for him, then it's a win-win for the Bears.